Hey guys, we're here with our first battle for the NPL Top 8 of the tournament, and we are going up against GreenGogoat. His YouTube link should be down in the description below, so make sure you guys go check him out for sure. But what this tournament is, or what this section of the tournament is best 2 out of 3, with the first match being OU, the second match being RU, and the third match being UU if it's needed. So here we have our OU match. We're just gonna briefly go over the team that I have because it's OU. It's nothing special about my team build. So we have a bulkier with sword stance Scizor. We have a specially defensive Heatran, choice specs Keldeo, life orb Latios, double dance Rocky Helmet Landorus, and a banded Crobat. So he has Scizor, Talonflame. I'm assuming that to be Mega Scizor, by the way. Mega Scizor, Talonflame, Starmie, Superior, Landorus, Therian, and Tyranitar. So, looking at his possible leads, the two things that get Stealth Rock on his team are Landorus and Tyranitar. And no matter what happens, I don't think he's leading off with the Talonflame. So Keldeo is a pretty safe lead. He doesn't indeed lead off with the Landorus. I'm actually going to speed up this one a little bit. Just because it's OU, it's nothing fancy to see. So there's no reason to not click Scald, because even if he wants to switch in Superior or Starmie, there is still the chance that they get burned, which is indeed what happens. So Starmie's going to switch in and it's going to get a burn. We're going to go ahead and go into our Latios predicting a Psychic type move, but he just decides to recover up instead. Right here I'm going to make an interesting play, and I'm going to double back into my Keldeo, predicting him to go into his Tyranitar. Now the fact that he goes into this Tyranitar here probably means Assault Vest, like the normal Tyranitar set is Assault Vest nowadays that I see. So he was doing that probably to take a predicted Draco. So I'm going to go for another Scald, predicting him once again to switch into the Starmie. We are going to get the burn again, as the Starmie has Natural Cure, and it's curing that burn every time it switches out. Right here, we're going to go into Crobat, predicting him to recover again. And now we pretty much get a free U-turn, because U-turn will kill the Starmie, we are banded. And if he wants to switch into something else, we get initiative. So we're just going to go for a U-turn, as he's going to switch out and go into his Landorus. Now Landorus is going to get the Intimidate drop, but what is nice about getting this U-turn off, as we can see its item is the Rocky Helmet, meaning it's probably more of a defensive Landorus set rather than like Scarf or something along those lines. We're going to get advantage and go into our Keldeo here, and he's going to switch into his Superior this time on our Scald. We are going to get the burn with the Scald again, which is very nice. So it's a little unfortunate for him because we keep getting these burns. It is a 30% chance, but at the end of the day, it should not be happening this much. I'm going to go into my Crobat predicting the Leaf Storm because I will quad resist it, but he decides to set up a substitute instead. I have Infiltrator on this Crobat, so it's just going to die to a U-turn, which is awesome for us. We're going to go back out on our U-turn. We're going to go to our Keldeo. He's going to decide to go into his Talonflame. We have to switch out here. We're going to go into our Landorus, get the Intimidate drop. We are Rocky Helmet, so he's going to take quite a bit of damage from whatever move he wants to go for. He decides to go for the Brave Bird, so he's going to take Recoil and Rocky Helmet. He reveals that he has leftovers on this set, which is awesome. He's going to switch into his own Landorus as we go for a Stone Edge. I was really hoping to hit the Talonflame, and I couldn't go for an Earthquake unless he wanted the Roost. I really wasn't predicting Roost. We're going to go for a Sword Stance because this Landorus can't really do much to me, so he goes for an Earthquake, predicting me to switch out. And then we're going to set up a Rock Polish. This is a double dancing Landorus set. We're going to go for a Stone Edge, hit ours, as he goes for a Stone Edge and misses his, which is a little unfortunate because that Stone Edge would have killed my Landorus, but I had easy ways to revenge the Landorus. It's just nice that I get to get one hit off with this thing. But he decides to go into the Mega Scizor and just kill me with a Bullet Punch. He's going to take a little bit of Rocky Helmet damage, which is nice. We're going to go into our Heatran and just fire off a Lava Plume because it would have been quite effective on the Mega Scizor. And if he decides to switch into his Tyranitar, that could happen. We could potentially get a burn. This Tyranitar is crippled, and he's going to realize that there's not much hope, and I keep hacking him. I feel bad for the hacks, but it happens. It's Pokemon, and he's just going to go ahead and forfeit. So we win our first OU match. We're up in this match 1-0. So we are going to go to the RU match. If I lose the RU match, we will be going to the UU match, but I will see you guys over at the RU match in just a second. Alright guys, here we are at the RU battle. Looking at the team he has the Alomomola, Registeel, Flygon, Braviary, Granbull, and Drapion. Real quick, we'll go over the team I have. It's a sub bulk up Gallade, Defensive Blastoise, Scarf Rotom, Swords Dance, Fletchinder is what that thing's called. I was blanking on it for a second. Choice Specs Meloetta, and a defensive Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin, Dredagon. Potential leads, I'm really kind of expecting the Registeel lead just because it's the most obvious Stealth Rocker on his team. So I'm going to go ahead and lead off with the Gallade pretty easily. So we are in here with our Gallade. He's going to lead off with his Drapion. He's going to go for a knockoff, gets rid of our leftovers, but we do get a justified boost, so it's kind of a lose-win in a way. And we're going to set up a substitute. Now, the Drapion does not want to stay in very much, so he's going to switch out into his Granbull as we go for a Drain Punch. Granbull's going to take almost no damage from that, even at +1 attack. We are going to get a little bit of health back to the point where we could set up another sub later in the match if we wanted to. And we're going to go ahead and go for a knockoff and get rid of the Granbull's leftovers as he's going to roar us out. So the leftovers on the Granbull are gone, which is good. But we do get roared out into our Dredagon. That's the last thing I want to be in against this Granbull because I can't touch it. So I'm going to switch into my Blastoise as he's going to pull a switch into his Registeel. Now, I don't want my Blastoise to be toxic because it's my Rapid Spinner. So I'm going to go ahead and switch in my Dredagon, who minds being toxic less. He's also going to take an opportunity to set up his Stealth Rock as we glare the Registeel. I was kind of really predicting a switch out into Granbull. That's why I glared. So I'm just going to set up a Stealth Rock in case, or not in case, definitely helps for almost the entire match. We're going to go ahead and switch out into our Meloetta because, as I said, the Dredagon cannot touch Granbull. My only offensive move is Dragon Tail. But he's going to roar us out as we go into the Meloetta, and we end up being back into our Blastoise. Now, this is a pretty free opportunity to go for a Rapid Spin, get rid of the rocks on my side, and he's going to switch into his Alomomola. Now, Alomomola walls me pretty nicely. He can pretty easily go for a Toxic. So, I'm going to go ahead and go into my Dredagon in case it wanted to go for a Scald. It can't burn me if it wanted to go for a Toxic. And I'm already poisoned. But he's going to go for a knockoff, get rid of the Rocky Helmet, and take quite a bit from the Rocky Helmet Rough Skin, but definitely not enough to the point where it matters on the Alomomola. He's going to set up a Wish as we're going to switch into our Rotom. Now, I don't think he's going into Flygon here, so we're pretty easily just going to go for a Volt Switch. We do get a crit, but it's not going to matter because he's going to get the Wish back and go to full anyways. So we're going to go into our Gallade, and predicting him to switch out, we are going to go for a substitute. Unfortunately, that was kind of a bad play because it's just going to go right into the Granbull and get the Intimidate drop, and now we're behind a sub at -1, and we're not going to be able to do much. So we're just going to go for a Drain Punch for damage, even though it's not going to be much, as he's going to decide to roar us out. And we end up going to our Fletchinder, and Fletchinder is not something I want to be with against this Granbull. We're just going to sack off the Gallade. But he's going to switch into his Flygon, which, so I'm going to go for a knockoff on this turn, just in case he wanted to overpredict and maybe go for like a Defog or something. But he is just going to kill me off with a Dragon Claw, and that's okay. So down goes Gallade. We were down 5-6, but that's alright. We're going to go into our Blastoise and try to scare him out with the Ice Beam. We're going to go for a Scald. I know the Alomomola is coming in, but I don't have Toxic on this set, so... Actually, no, I do have Toxic on this set. It's Scald, Ice Beam, Toxic, and Rapid Spin. So I could have gone for Toxic there, but I wanted to go for the Scald, kind of like a middle ground play. Now that my Rocky Helmet has been knocked off, Dredagon's a pretty safe switch into Alomomola, minus the fact that I can't really do much to it offensively. So, but he's going to go for a knockoff, take Rough Skin damage, and I'm going to go for a Toxic, or no, yes, I'm going to go for a Toxic as he's going to go for a Wish. He's going to go into his Granbull. We're going to go ahead and switch out into our Rotom, because that's our best thing we have on this team to deal with the Alomomola. But now that the Granbull's in, we're just going to go for a Volt Switch. There's no reason to go for like a Leaf Storm or something like that. We're going to go into our Meloetta. He's going to Heal Bell. Heal off the Toxic on the Alomomola and the Paralysis on the Registeel. I was really expecting a Registeel switch in here, so that's why I went for Focus Blast. If I had gone for Hyper Voice or Psyshock or something like that, then this Flygon would have been dead. But it's going to live due to the fact that I went for Focus Blast. And we're going to go ahead and, because we are Choice Specs, we're going to switch into our Blastoise and threaten this thing out with an Ice Beam. I once again know Alomomola is coming in, and this time I'm going to double out into my Rotom Mo because it is the best thing I have on my team to deal with the Alomomola. As we're going to go for a Volt Switch. I really didn't think he'd switch into Flygon because of potential Leaf Storm and Will-O-Wisp, but he does. He predicts that very nicely, and now, because we are Scarfed, we are going to have to switch out. And we're going to go into our Blastoise because it is defensive, and it can take pretty much any hit from the Flygon, and we can threaten it out with Ice Beam, but he's just going to go for a Roost. He's going to go for a Dragon Claw and try to do damage to my Blastoise. I was once again really expecting something else to come in, particularly the Alomomola. That's why I went for Toxic on this play. This time I'm just going to go for Scald. predicting him to stay in with the Flygon, but he's just going to go into the Drapion. And the Drapion's going to get burned on the Skull, which is awesome for us because the Drapion is severely crippled now. But we did see that he has Heal Bell on the Grand Bull, so he could potentially get that out. I'm going to go into my Fletchinder on the Drapion, but I can't really stay in with the Fletchinder on the Alomomola as he makes a double switch. So I have to go into my Blastoise and go for the knockoff. And let me catch up a little bit. So I go into my Blastoise on the predicted knockoff, which is unfortunate, but I couldn't go into Fletchinder safely, or stay in with Fletchinder safely due to the fact that Scald was potentially coming. So I go into the Blastoise on the knockoff, I lose my leftovers, and because he's probably not going to go for a knockoff again, Rotom is a pretty easy switch in, and he's just going to set up a Wish. Now he's going to switch into his Registeel, and we're going to burn it and cripple it severely if it has Iron Head or something offensive. Now we are Scarfed into Will-O-Wisp, but we're going to go ahead and switch out. Predicting a Toxic, I'm going to go into my Druddigon, which is exactly what happens, and that's awesome for us. I'm going to take this opportunity and set up the Stealth Rocks on the predicted Grand Bull switch in, because Grand Bull walls me 100%, but that is alright with me. Stealth Rocks are up. Druddigon is pretty much dead, but we're going to Glare the Grand Bull just before we die to potentially cripple the Grand Bull. And because we glared, he is going to get Parahacks, which means I think he was going for a Heal Bell. So the Drapion's going to stay burned, which is awesome for us. I'm going to go into my Meloetta, and this time I'm going to go for a Hyper Voice because I don't think he's going into Registeel. And Hyper Voice is going to knock out the Flygon, which was his Defogger, which means those rocks are there to stay. Now the Drapion comes in, and it was a 50-50 between Knockoff and Pursuit, so I ultimately just decided to switch out, but he does get the Pursuit. And we're going to go into our Fletchinder because it threatens it out decently with the fact that it's being so weak. We're just going to go for an Acrobatics on the Alomomola switch in. It's not going to do that much just because Alomomola is bulky. We're going to go ahead and switch into our Rotom. He's going to knock off our not our leftovers. That's a Choice Scarf. So the Choice Scarf is going to get knocked off on the Rotom, which is a little unfortunate, but that is okay with me. Now he has lost his ground type, so we get a pretty free Volt Switch. He's going to protect and scout for what we're going to do. The Volt Switch is going to go off. He's going to decide to switch into and just sack off his Drapion on our Volt Switch. So we tied up the game. It is now 4-4. He still has Aloe, Braviary, Steel, and Grand Bull. We're going to go into our Blastoise because I felt like it was the best thing I had on my team to deal with whatever he wanted to switch into. He's just going to decide to go into the Grand Bull. We're just going to hit off a Scald as he's going to get a Heal Bell off. So the Grand Bull is no longer paralyzed, and this time I'm predicting him to go into the Alomomola, but I'm still just going to go for a Scald. Potentially we could get a burn on the Alomomola and do some more residual damage, but alas, we do not, and that's okay. We're going to go into our Rotom because now that our Choice Scarf has been knocked off, we're taking less damage from the knockoff. And now Rotom is a great switch into Alomomola. He's just going to go for the Scald, and we get a free Volt Switch off. He's just going to sack off his Grand Bull on that turn. So the Rotom's going to go down, or I'm sorry, the Grand Bull's going to go down. Rotom's going to switch out. We're going to go into our Blastoise, and he finally brings in the Braviary. Now, he's going to set up a Substitute, and I'm going to go for a Scald. And the Scald does not break the Substitute, which is a little bit disconcerting, which means he has some kind of defensive investment. He reveals his set, it's Sub-Bulk Up, just like my Gallade. Now, the only thing I have on my set that could break these subs is Ice Beam, so I have to go for Ice Beams and hope he overpredicts at some point, because at this point, he's in a pretty good position to win. So, my plan is to go for Ice Beam, hope for a crit or a freeze, because there's not much I can do. I don't want to Toxic this thing because I really need a freeze or a burn if I wanted to get with the Scald. So, he's going to set up a second Bulk Up after he subs, and we're just going to go for an Ice Beam, and we do indeed freeze the Braviary, which is a little unfortunate. I didn't want to have to win that way, but I'm not complaining about winning that way. We're just going to go for an Ice Beam. The Braviary is going to keep taking those hits. We can't go for a Scald because I do not want to break him out of his freeze, so we're just going to keep going for Ice Beams, and the Braviary is going to ultimately go down. All he has left on his team is Alomomola and Registeel. And we're going to Toxic the Alomomola because he has lost his Heal Beller in Grand Bull. He's going to go for a Scald, and it's not going to do much to my Blastoise. And at this point, he realizes there's not much he can do with just an Alomomola and a Registeel, his two defensive Pokemon. So he's going to forfeit here, which means we have won both our OU and our RU matches. The UU match was not required, and we are moving on to the top 4. So that's exciting. If you guys want to see more content from me, a like and a subscription would be much appreciated. the top 4. So the next round of the tournament is going to be back to the draft style format. So our Mega Blastoise team will be taking on Mad Archer 4567, I believe is his name. I know it's Mad Archer, but I can't remember the numbers. So very good matches to GreenGogoat. He played tremendously. As I said in the beginning, his YouTube link should be down in the description below. If it's not, feel free to get mad at me, and I'll put it down there. So I will see you guys in the next battle, in the next Draft League format battle with our Mega Blastoise team. So I will see you then later.